Hello all, welcome to my channel Fundamentals of Civil Services Exam. I hope you have been following my videos regularly. Yesterday we discussed the evolution of universe, the solar system and the gravitational force. What is gravitational force? The force which acts as a force of attraction between the two masses. And of course, because of gravitational force, the entire universe is packed together. And today we are going to discuss the planets and their properties. You may have a question, what is a planet? Basically, planet is a non-self-luminous body. And also, planet is a wanderer. Wanderer means a person or an object which moves aimlessly is called an wanderer. Then why planets are called as wanderers? Planets are revolving around the sun under the gravitational pull of the sun. If there is no gravitational pull of the sun, then there would be no systematic movement of planets around the sun. That's why planets are called as wanderers. And what is the meaning of luminous, self-luminous body? Self-luminous body means the body which ejects light and heat on its own is called as a self-luminous body. And non-self-luminous means it is opposite to self-luminous. So planets are non-self-luminous bodies. So we can characterize planet as wanderer and a non-self-luminous body. So the word planet means wanderer. And there are 8 planets in the solar system. They are Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus and Neptune. All the planets rotate anti-clockwise. Anti-clockwise means from west to east. Of course, it depends on the point of reference. On their own axis, except Venus and Uranus. That means Venus and Uranus, they move opposite to the direction of other planets. And the next thing is orbit. We often say that planets move in their orbits. What is the meaning of orbit? Orbit means the elliptical path in which planets move around the sun is known as orbit. If you look at this picture, this is the elliptical path. This is the shape of an ellipse. So planets revolve around the sun in this path, in this elliptical path. This elliptical path is known as orbit. And the 8 planets revolve in their respective orbits because of the gravitational pull of the sun. That means Jupiter revolves only in its orbit. It won't move beyond its orbit and it won't enter into orbits of other planets. So why is this happening? It is because of gravitational pull of the sun. So that is the meaning. And next thing is they do not move out of their paths or away from the solar system because of gravitational pull of the sun. And the 4 planets nearer to the sun are called inner or terrestrial planets. For example, Mercury, Venus, Earth and Mars. These 4 are called as inner planets or terrestrial planets. That means the 8 planets in the solar system are categorized into 2 groups, inner planets and outer planets. Inner planets are also called as terrestrial planets and outer planets are also called as Jovian planets. Then what are terrestrial planets? Mercury, Venus, Earth and Mars. So the inner planets are comparatively smaller in size. That means compared to outer planets, the size of the inner planets is smaller. and the inner planets are composed of rocks. That's why these are called as terrestrial planets. Why they are called terrestrial planets? The inner planets are composed of rocks. That means they are made up of rocks. And the surface of inner planets has mountains, volcanoes, and craters. We will discuss about volcanoes and craters in our future classes. So these inner planets, Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars, they consist of mountains, volcanoes, and craters. And the last four planets are called as outer planets or Jovian planets: Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. So they are also called as gaseous giants. That means the outer planets are mostly made up of gases. They are not made up of rocks. So the dominant matter in the outer planets is gas, and the dominant matter in the inner planet is inner planets is rocks. So that's why the inner planets are called as terrestrial planets and the outer planets are called as gaseous giants. And an asteroid belt is found between Mars and Jupiter. That means this is the asteroid belt. This asteroid belt separates the inner planets from the outer planets. I think you can see the asteroid belt in this picture. So this is the boundary line between inner planets and outer planets. And I hope you understood about planet and about inner planets and outer planets. So next thing is Mercury. We will begin our discussion with Mercury. So I think you do know that Mercury is the nearest planet to the Sun. And of course, it is the smallest and closest planet to the Sun. And it is named after a Roman deity, Mercury. That means the messenger of the messenger to the gods. For example, in our Hindu culture, Narada is the messenger to the gods. In the same way, here in Romans, Mercury is the messenger to the gods. So it is an airless and waterless planet. That means it doesn't have air and water. That means it is not habitable for the life. So it does not have an atmosphere and so experiences extremes of temperature. What is the meaning of extremes of temperature? Extremes of temperature means it is either very cold and very hot. It is either very cold or very hot. There is no chances of moderate temperature over the Mercury. For example, Earth has atmosphere. You may have a question, what is atmosphere? Atmosphere means a blanket of air which covers the entire Earth's surface is called as atmosphere. So atmosphere plays a major role in moderating the temperatures on the Earth's surface. And we will discuss more comprehensively about atmosphere in our future classes. So because of the absence of atmosphere over the Mercury, the temperatures are extreme. Extreme in the sense either cold or hot. There is no chances of moderate temperature. And of course, Mercury has no natural satellites. So what is the meaning of a natural satellite? Natural satellite means a body which revolves around a planet by emitting light is called as a natural satellite. For example, moon is a natural satellite. Of course, moon is a non-self-luminous body. It reflects the sunlight onto the earth. So moon is called as a natural satellite. In the solar system, except Mercury and some other planets, remaining all planets have natural satellites. So Mercury can be viewed in the morning and evening with naked eye. That means with the help of a telescope or with naked eye, if the sky is clear, we can observe Mercury. And the next planet is Venus. It is the hottest planet. You may have a question. Why Venus is the hottest planet among the 8 planets of solar system, even though the Mercury is the nearest planet. See here, the answer is the Mercury doesn't have carbon dioxide on its surface, whereas the Venus has carbon dioxide. So because of carbon dioxide, the Venus is the hottest planet. And most often we talk about global warming. What is the meaning of global warming? We blame CO2 for global warming. So if you observe the properties of carbon dioxide, it is transparent to the incoming solar radiation, but it is opaque to the outgoing terrestrial radiation. Terrestrial radiation means the radiation that is emitted by the earth. Solar radiation means the radiation that is emitted by the sun. So this carbon dioxide acts as a transparent for the incoming radiations, and it acts as a opaque for the outgoing terrestrial radiation. So because of that, the heat is packed within the atmosphere. As a result, the temperatures are increasing rapidly. This is called as global warming. So because of excess amount of CO2 emissions into the atmosphere, eventually it is heating the Earth's surface. As a result, the ice caps are melting, and the level of or the sea levels are increasing. So that is the discussion about global warming and CO2. So because of the presence of CO2 on the Venus, Venus is the hottest planet, even though it is not the nearest planet to the sun. So Venus is the second planet from the sun. It is called Earth's twin because the size of the Venus is as same as the size of the Earth. That's why it is called as Earth's twin. And of course, it has the longest rotation period, that is 243 days. If you look at the rotation of the Earth, it takes 24 hours approximately to complete one rotation, whereas the Venus takes 243 days to complete one rotation. So it is the longest rotation period in the solar system. And the next point is it rotates in the opposite direction to all other planets except Uranus. That means the direction of the Venus is opposite to the direction of all other planets. Or the Venus and Uranus, they move in the same direction and opposite to the direction of other planets. And it has no natural satellites like Mercury. I told you. As same as Mercury, Venus also doesn't have any natural satellites. So it is named after the Roman goddess of love and beauty. It is often visible in the mornings and the evenings, and so it is frequently called the morning star and the evening star. You have to remember this. Venus is called as the morning star and the evening star because it is visible during daytime and during evenings. And next, after the moon, it is the brightest natural object in the night sky. And Mercury's atmosphere does not contain carbon dioxide. We discussed about it. Because of that, Mercury is not hotter than Venus, even though Mercury is the nearest planet to the sun. And the next planet is Earth. So our planet. It is a living planet because it has atmosphere and it has water and all the conditions which are conducive for the sustenance of life process. So that's why Earth is called as a living planet. So the Earth is the third planet from the sun. The first planet is Mercury, and the second is Venus, and the third is the Earth. And of course, it is the fifth largest planet in the solar system. And it is called a blue planet or watery planet because 3/4 of the Earth is covered by water. And The Earth is the only planet in the solar system which is not named after any Greek or Roman deity. We have seen the previous slides. In that, we discussed about Mercury and Venus. They are named after Roman deities. Except Earth, remaining all planets are named after Greek and Roman deities. And it is the only planet known to support life. Yes, of course, we do know that. And the Earth revolves around the Sun at the speed of about 30 kilometers per second. That means it revolves around the Sun with the speed of 30 kilometers per second, and it will take approximately 365 days to complete one revolution. And life is possible on Earth because of the presence of land, air, and water. We do know that. The only natural satellite of the Earth is Moon. That means Earth is having one natural satellite, that is Moon. Whereas Venus and Mercury doesn't have natural satellites at all. And the distance between the Sun and the Earth is about 150 million kilometers. So yesterday we discussed about the distance between Sun and the Earth. And of course, the sunlight takes 8.4 minutes to reach the Earth's surface. And the next planet is Mars. It is next in the sequence of planets. And Mars is called red planet. Why the Mars is called as a red planet? Because due to the presence of iron oxide on its surface, the Mars appears in red in color. And Mars is the fourth planet from the Sun and the second smallest planet. What is the first smallest planet? Mercury. And the second smallest planet is Mars. And it is named after Roman god of war. And it is often described as the red planet because of the presence of iron oxide. And it has a thin atmosphere. If you look at Mercury, it doesn't have atmosphere. Because of that, it is experiencing extremes of temperature. Whereas Earth has atmosphere and Mars do have a thin atmosphere. And Mars has two natural satellites, namely Phobos and Deimos. Earth has one natural satellite, that is Moon. So many orbiters and rovers have been launched to explore this planet. You do know that on 24th September 2014, Mangalyaan, Mars orbiter mission launched by Indian Space Research Organization. And of course, it was a great achievement of India because in its first attempt, India was able to send Mangalyaan, Mars orbiter mission to the Mars in order to study its outer atmosphere. And ISRO has now become the fourth space agency to reach Mars after the Soviet space program and NASA and the European Space Agency. I hope you understood about the planet called Mars. And the next one is Jupiter. It is the largest planet. And of course, it is the fifth planet from the sequence. Fifth planet in the sequence from the Sun and the largest planet in the solar system. It is named after the king of Roman gods. See, if you look at the names, except Earth, the names of all the planets are named after the Greek and Roman gods. So it is the third brightest object in the sky after Moon and Venus. We also named Venus as a morning star and evening star. So after Moon and Venus, Jupiter is the brightest object in the sky. So it is the fastest spinning planet in the solar system as well. And it is called a gas giant planet. We already discussed about it. The planets within the asteroid belt, they are called inner planets. Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars. And of course, these are also called as terrestrial planets. And the planets beyond the asteroid belt are called as outer planets. And they are dominantly made of gases. Here, Jupiter is a outer planet. So, the path between or the space between Jupiter and Mars is covered by asteroid belt. So the atmosphere is made up of hydrogen and helium like the sun. If you look at the sun, the composition of sun is made up of hydrogen plus helium. In the same way, the Jupiter is made up of hydrogen and helium. So it has the largest number of natural satellites. So Earth has one natural satellite, Mars has two natural satellites, Mercury and Venus doesn't have any natural satellite, and Jupiter has a largest number of natural satellites. So these are the natural satellites of Jupiter. And next, Saturn. Saturn is called as a ringed planet. If you look at Saturn, there is a ring which is revolving around the Saturn or moving around the Saturn. This ring comprises asteroids and space debris, etc. So Saturn is the sixth planet from the Sun and the second largest planet in the solar system after Jupiter. And it is named after the Roman god of agriculture. So Saturn has many rings around it. These rings are huge and are mostly made up of ice, rocks and dust particles. So Saturn has 62 natural satellites around it. Titan is the Saturn's largest moon. So it is the only satellite in the solar system that has clouds and dense atmosphere composed of nitrogen and methane. For example, the gases of Jupiter are helium and hydrogen. Here, the dominant gases are nitrogen and methane on the Saturn. And the specific gravity of Saturn is less than that of water. So next, Uranus. So Uranus is called as the somersaulting planet. And Uranus is the seventh planet from the Sun. It was the first to be discovered with a telescope by an astronomer William Herschel in 1781. That means among the 8 planets of solar system, it was the first to be discovered with a telescope. And it appears green due to the presence of methane. And it is named after the Greek god of the sky. It rotates on its axis from east to west like Venus. We already discussed. Except Venus and Uranus. These two planets revolve in opposite directions in comparison with the other 6 planets. So its axis is tilted so much that it appears to orbit the Sun on its sides like a rolling ball. That means if you look at the Uranus, the tilt of the axis is very high. So normally the axis of the planets will be in this manner. So because of the gravitational pull of the Sun, few planets tilt towards the Sun. So this is the tilted axis. Of course, Earth also tilts towards the Sun. And this tilt, if you draw a normal, this tilt to the normal is 23.5 degrees. And to the orbital plane is 66.5 degrees. So this tilt is due to the gravitational pull of the Sun. So the tilt of the Uranus is very high. Therefore, it appears to orbit the Sun on its sides like a rolling ball. So Uranus has 27 natural satellites, of which Titania is the largest. Then Neptune, it is the coldest planet, and Neptune is the 8th and farthest planet from the Sun. And there are strong winds in this planet. It is named after the Roman god of sea. So Neptune has 14 natural satellites, and the largest being Triton. So because of its distance from the Sun, Neptune is one of the coldest planets in the solar system. So we do know that if you consider it as a hot body, when you move nearer to the hot body, our temperature increases. Or when we move away from the hot body, our temperature decreases. In the same way, the planets which are nearer to the Sun are having higher temperatures than the planets which are far away from the Sun. In the case of Neptune, it is the farthest planet from the Sun. So because of that, Neptune is the one of the coldest planets in the solar system. And the striking blue and white features of Neptune help to distinguish it from Uranus. So there is a striking blue and white features on Neptune. So dear viewers, I hope you understood about the 8 planets of the solar system and their properties. So if you like my video, please do subscribe and share it to as many as possible. And tomorrow we will discuss about asteroids, comets, and the motions of the Earth and its effects. Thank you very much.